Let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion on journalists hangout for the Conference of Nigeria Political Parties, CNPP. An injury to one is ultimately an injury to all. Now, the leadership of the CNPP has commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for foiling what it called the coup against Governor Buni's chairmanship of the Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee of the All Progressives Congress, APC. In a statement signed by its Secretary General, Willy Ezugwu, the CNPP noted that all lovers of democracy must commend the intervention which resulted in the U-turn by the Presidency on the matter. The CNPP urged the APC to end the confusion in the party and be an example of due process in effecting leadership change at all levels. Meanwhile, efforts by the APC to set aside the November 18, 2021 order of Justice Bello Kawu of the FCT High Court stopping the party's March 26th National Convention suffered a setback, well, due to rightful legal representation of the party, and the matter has been adjourned till March the 17th. Babajide, now let's look at this issue regarding the APC's internal crisis. You know, with this situation, how do you see this affecting the party's chances in the 2023 elections? Do you think perhaps the party is ready for what is ahead?
Well, the party still has time to resolve all these outstanding issues and get itself prepared for the election. It's the ruling party. It's in control of a clear majority of Nigerian states, so it's still the party to beat in the election. I'm not saying that whatever happens, it will win the election. No, but it's still the party to beat. It's the ruling party. So these issues within the party are issues that they can resolve if they are able to hold the convention and a new set of leaders emerge. Then some of these issues would be put to bed. Some of them permanently, some of them partially. So what the party needs to do is to be conscious of the fact that it has to abide by the law at all times, so that what happened in Zamfara and even Rivers State will not happen to the party again. The party is supposed to learn from its adversities, you know. But clearly some members of the party, because of their hunger, their desire to hijack leadership for the purpose of using it to advance their own interest during the 2023 election, they are now trying to bring the party down with them. So to an extent, I think the INEC saved APC from a potentially combustible situation, because what INEC has done is simply to remind the party that, look, there are rules, and the constitution of our country recognizes only the chairman and the secretary of the party. And by the same token, INEC rules recognize the chairman as well as the secretary of a party. So whatever correspondence they have with INEC, if Buni's signature is not passing through that correspondence, if Uduedehe's signature is not passing through that correspondence or that document, INEC will simply not accept it. The way it is only the recognized leader of the party, for example, that can legally present someone as the candidate of the party. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So if someone else does that, of course, INEC will respond in the manner that they have responded. So, Buni, in my view, has just a few days left, been there for almost 2 years. So they need to manage the crisis very well at this time and ensure that there is no serious issue that crops up before the March 26th convention, so that there can be a proper transition from this caretaker and convention organizing committee to another set of leaders elected by the people on the floor of the convention.
Right. So, Sam, do you share the same sentiments, or you have a different opinion, or what would you rather add to those grey areas the APC needs to look into if it is to go ahead with its convention on March 26th?
I share Jide's sentiments. I mean, all that has been expressed is basically, you know, around the issues of law, you know, and the need to be, you know, what the rules are. You know, the shocking thing for me is that it took INEC to remind, you know, the APC leadership that indeed they were about breaching the law. So it's a big one for them. Otherwise, it could have been a dangerous slip. So they have a chance in the next 9-10 days or thereabouts, you know, to put their house in order. But again, knowing the way politics is played in this part of the country, yes, it will seem that APC has a breather, but I'll be surprised, you know, that we don't have issues, you know, even in the days ahead. It would seem that one party has gained, you know, an upper hand at some point, and then the next time the other party appears to, you know, be calling the shots, as it were. So we're likely to see this pushing and shoving, you know, in the days ahead until things, you know, pan out the way they ought to be, because, you know, we have one court case that is yet to be, you know, dealt with. We hear there are many more. You know, some have talked about 208 court cases and all that. We don't know, you know, the veracity of that. But what is clear is that there are, you know, stakeholders within the party who think that unless their interests are properly addressed, they wouldn't allow that convention to be. So just about anything could happen in the days ahead. I hope that APC learns from the mistake of the past. Otherwise, it could just go the way of the country's leading opposition party, which suffered the same fate sometime in 2015 or thereabouts. So politics in this climb is so unpredictable. You know, I have a friend who says 2 + 2 is not 4, because just about anything could happen. There is this internal struggle for control of the party, and it's about who gets not just who gets what, but who controls the structure. Because if you control the structure, then you can allocate, you know, resources or power the way you want it. And so these contending forces have the next couple of days, you know, to sort themselves out ahead of the convention. Otherwise, you could just have an implosion on our hands, and that's what I fear, you know. So it would seem that things are quiet, you know. You have a balance of, you know, call it terror, as it were, you know. So we'll see how the leadership manages the issue. Forms are being sold, you know, at what some people call a ridiculous price. But then there's also the issue of consensus. You ask yourself, I mean, if you are looking at consensus in determining most parts of, determining what would, you know, who gets what at the party, then why are you selling forms and all that stuff? So there are a whole lot of issues, and we want to believe that the party leadership will be able to address this worrying concerns, or these concerns rather, and then just have a very peaceful convention, you know, on March 26th. Otherwise, and anything that disturbs APC, of course, is going to have an impact on the country. It's the ruling party. So each time they have these internal struggles, and you seem to have, you know, issues here and there, the country appears to also suffer from it. It's just like, you know, catching cold and sneezing somewhere.
And perhaps you'd like to share with us what you think the country might get to, you know, will I say, in what way do you think the actions of the party, the actions or inactions of the party will affect the country in general?
Okay, so the first thing for me will be the fact that we don't seem to have, you know, serious governance going on at the moment. So all attention is concentrated on what is going to happen in the days ahead. You find that most governors are not paying attention to what is happening locally. It's either they are, you know, spending their time in Abuja, bantering over who gets what and all that. So the immediate impact is that governance appears to be taking a backseat, and that's not good for anyone. And the worry is that in the next 9-10 months or thereabout, you are going to have the same scenario playing out, where nobody pays attention to issues bordering on indices of development, but just who gets what, at the center, and that shouldn't be the case. We've had issues around why would the governor leave governance in back home and come to Abuja and stay. The one in Nigeria is also back there wanting to do the same thing. The rest of them, all the ministers and all that, everybody is concentrated, seems to be paying attention on what is going on in Abuja, because that's where it's meant to be. Yeah. So for them, politics is work, as it were, and they just want to grab and decide what happens in the days ahead.
So Babajide, if this is all about politics, do you think we can perhaps change the narrative of Nigerian politics so that everyone gets to understand that we are here for the good of the masses and perhaps not for selfish interest?
Well, the politicians have never stopped telling us that they are there for you and I, but we know that a lot of them are selfish. We know that they care about themselves, their friends and their family members a lot more than they care about even the well-being of the country. But that's the way it is until our elections begin to yield a succession of not just capable but selfless and forward-thinking leaders. We won't get out of the woods. A forward-looking leader, for example, would even get his hands soiled working for the state, working for everyone. But leaders who do not really think about the future, or think of the present, they are going to be busy just trying to position themselves for immediate gain. But you've got to be able to think about where you are going. Where do you want Nigeria to be in the next 10 years, for example? All the plans that we came up with in the past, 2020 and the rest of them, we can't point at what we have achieved with them. And it all boils down to the fact that we have leaders who do not have capacity to deliver the actual dividends of democracy. Some of the things for which we praise our leaders to high heavens are things that are taken for granted in other lands. Somebody gives you water supply, 1 kilometer of asphalted road, and we will roll out the drums as if he's done something extraordinary. So we've got to change and focus on.
Perception might change as well.
Yes, we've got to focus on the people.
Right.
The people must be the centerpiece of governance. Until we do that, and the way we play politics in our country is like a winner takes all affairs, a zero-sum game. People want to hijack the APC completely. They want to be the ones to inherit the party once Baba Buhari leaves office. That's what they are thinking. They are focused on that. And in my view, they are not even people who are ready to let the contest be a level playing field. They don't want the political of the APC to be a level playing field. They are trying to hijack the party so that they will shut out other people from the leadership of the party in the post-Buhari era. That is what they are planning. Let the convention of the party be an open affair.
Right.
Anybody who is strong enough, who fancies his chances, let them contest.
All right,
let them contest. Don't impose people on the party. When you do that, you are laying the foundation for the dismemberment of the party.
Indeed.